Let's get you this news. Just in, 3 children aged between 6 and 9 have drowned in Reefentse, that's north of Pretoria. Let's get more now on this and speak to Tshwane Emergency Services spokesperson Charles Mabaso, who's joining us by phone. Charles, thank you very much for your time. Let's begin with what happened this afternoon.
Thank you, Tebekile, and good afternoon to you and to your viewers too.
What happened this afternoon, Charles, to these three children? How did they drown?
Yeah, Tebekile, in Stenvater, emergency services were called to an incident of drowning. Upon arrival at a waterlogged park, they found that 2 bodies of boys aged between 8 and 9 were already recovered by the community members. Emergency services had to then recover the body of a 3rd boy.
And do we know how these children ended up in the water, Charles?
Well, I don't have specific reasons as to why the children ended up in the water, but due to the recent rains that we had, the park was waterlogged, and I would then assume that the children, took opportunity to go and use the park for swimming.
Just for clarity, so if I'm hearing you correctly, these 3 children do not drown in a pool, but it was a waterlogged park, and that's how they passed.
Yes, it's not a pool. It's not a pool. It's a waterlogged park.
And Charles, I mean, this is obviously out of the ambit of your office, but in situations such as this, is this an area that had been clearly marked, perhaps with a warning to say to people it is not safe to use currently?
I would like to believe that efforts were underway to, drain off to drain the water off the park, and then, but then a message in circumstances like this should be out there to warn residents of such an event.
And were the 3 children related?
That we haven't established from our side if they were related.
All right. And lastly then, Charles, what's being done now to prevent any further harm or loss of life at that park? Has it now been closed to the public?
I have not been established that it has been closed to the public, but from our side as emergency services, we would like to call upon residents to avoid swimming at the park. It does not only pose, a drowning risk, it also poses a health risk. Water that is static, has got a risk hazard. So we know that it is hot, and communities might want to take an opportunity to use the waterlogged park, as a swimming area. But it is a danger to their health, and would like to call upon residents, to stay away from the park.
Charles Mabaso, spokesperson for the City of Tshwane's Emergency Services, thank you very much for that update on what is a tragic situation today. 3 children drowning at that park in Reefentse, that's north of Pretoria, I believe.